There we go. So we want to set our intention to create build a culture of empathy, which is to create a feeling of mutual authentic expression, mutual listening, constructive dialogue, and collaborative action. And so the intention, the wording changes a little bit every time. So that's something we want to flesh out. So does that work for everyone? Does that? Okay. And so we'll light our intention. Candle lamp.
Yeah.
There we go. And I had computer crashes before, so I have my laptop connected too here. So if you see another window that says helper, that's who that is. So in the back, I've got the second computer. So if this computer crashes, I would go over there. Just a little warning. Okay, so we want to go into our self-connection. So we need a timekeeper. Does someone want to keep time? Someone have a clock? Jess? Oh, Deb? Okay. I'll put you up there for our timekeeping. And we want to have just 2 minutes of self-connection, self-empathy. We're going to just feel into ourselves, have a little bit of self-connection, like how do you feel? Maybe do a body scan and just get a sense of how you're feeling. I like to start with feeling my breath and then just scanning my body and just see what comes up. So let's start with that. And Deb, if you start with the 2 minutes, just let us know after 2 minutes. And
I'll put my hands up since
you could say something. I'll have my eyes closed.
Oh.
Okay, so we'll kind of begin. Just maybe close your eyes. Disconnect from what's been happening. Feel into your body. Take a few deep breaths and some self-connection, self-empathy.
Right, ready to transition?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So we'd like to go around. We have 2 new members in this group who've joined us from our Wednesday group. That group, a couple of people have dropped out. So Jess has been a long-time member there, and Alex just joined us last week. And they could both, today, Saturdays worked for both of them. So they wanted to move over here, which is glad that you could make it since a couple people couldn't be here. So that really helped fill out the group. So let's just go around, do our check-ins, introduce yourselves, your name, location, where you're located, perhaps the type of work you're doing, kind of interest in the project and just how you're feeling. And at the very end, we'll do a shared motion again, which everyone is familiar with, and then we'll do a mirroring of that, and then it'll be the next person's turn to go. So on the chart here, I guess I can start by modeling it. So I'm Edwin Rutch, Director of the Center for Building a Culture of Empathy, and I'm here in El Cerrito, which is just north of Berkeley in the San Francisco Bay Area. And about 11 years ago, I started the Center for Building a Culture of Empathy and been working on this since then. I've done a lot of interviews with authors. Like every time there's a new book out, I reach out, interview the authors. So those two shelves down there are all books on empathy. And it's starting to get up here, it's starting to expand into the next column up there. And so I've interviewed probably well over 300 people on empathy, put the material online, and I just see empathy as just the core value for really creating a more well-being in the world. So I've dedicated the rest of my life, however long that might be, to working on this topic and building a more empathic culture. And let's see, the feeling is sort of, I guess, like this. It's a little bit of a rocking movement. Yeah, that feels good. Yeah, thank you. I feel seen. Jess, would you like to go next?
Sure. My name is Jessica Vogt. I live in Toronto. And I'm originally from France. I am a life coach and a facilitator, communication facilitator, coaching and facilitating based on the nonviolent communication teachings of Marshall Rosenberg. And trying to build right now 2 businesses based on that. And I joined the course here because, I do believe empathy is the antidote for all the pain in the world. And I think we need more of that. And my feeling today, I guess just hand in my heart, feeling grateful and refreshed. I just took a shower. I'm like feeling good. Thank you.
Thanks. Denise, you're next here on the mic.
I'm Denise Ernst, and I'm in Portland, Oregon. And I'm a psychologist, but my whole practice is focused on motivational interviewing. And so I have my whole career, not my whole career, but a large portion of my career has been involved with the teachings of Bill Miller. And so I am deeply steeped in that model of empathy. So of course I'm thrilled about the using of the Listening Well book because it's very familiar to me. And I joined this as a way of continuing to build my own capacity for empathy and to be able to think about ways to get that the value or the goal of empathy outside of the professional and more into more diverse places. I think that's a really important. I think empathy is only one small piece of it, but I think it's an important piece to get that out there to basically to do good in the world. And the thing that really struck me this morning is in this little brief thing we did, the little brief meditation, but I have a meditation practice, and And the thing that really struck me this morning and the way I'm feeling has to do with the fact that my realizing how important my own meditation practice is to that capacity for empathy. The only way that I can bring myself into empathy, into really experiencing and conveying empathy, is to come from that spaciousness within me. There's no way to be empathic without being in that space and experiencing that for yourself. So my feeling has to do with namaste. That's exactly how I'm feeling today, is namaste.
Okay, thank you. Alex?
Okay. Yeah, I'm Alex. I live in Virginia, near DC, and I do programming for a living, cybersecurity stuff. And so, like, my motivation for this, like, I'm sure Jess and Edwin are like sick of hearing it, but my dad has always been kind of a big influence in my life in terms of all sorts of emotional kind of stuff. And like a few years ago, he moved to Portland, Oregon, and I wasn't getting that kind of connection in anyone else in my life, especially not in my work, because cybersecurity is very dry and very sort of just talk about work and nothing else. And so I just found myself missing it. And so I know a decent amount about NVC. I haven't practiced it that much, but I've read the book and watched some of his videos, Marshall's videos on YouTube, and I really like it. And so, yeah, I was just kind of, my interest in this group specifically was like a chance to actually start like connecting with people who are interested in this stuff and actually like, you know, getting to practice the skills with other people like that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, emotion. So, yeah, I'm feeling like a little, just a little like overwhelmed, I guess, because I have more things going on this weekend than I expected. So I actually kind of like the hair pulling out thing that you had in the email. Like, ah! I like that.
Good, we have another picture now to add to that series.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Deb?
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Deb Klivanoff. I'm in Seattle. I work as a nurse, and my experience with what we're doing goes back to my Buddhist practice over 40 years. I got involved with NVC in the early 90s. I started teaching mindfulness-based stress reduction 14 years ago, the kind of streamlined secular form of mindfulness meditation. And it's all had a great impact on me. And what I'm appreciating now is simplicity of these practices and how they really help bring I don't know, kind of streamline simplicity. I don't know how to say, visualize that, but how they get to the core of what we're trying to feel, be expressed, and how we can cut through all the chaos and get to a very simple but effective message or connection. So right now, my current check-in is I'm doing massive purging and reorganizing of my home. I tend to have a lot of projects going on, and I tend to let the interior of my home go. And so it's interesting how things have been coming together for me. I've been kind of mulling over this problem or that dilemma and that predicament. And things have been stepping up and presenting themselves as answers to me. So I'm going to a little retreat workshop in Santa Cruz next week, and I have an Airbnb in the lower portion of my home, and I was just a little concerned about not having anyone living upstairs. I thought of having a friend drop by to check on them. I don't know. I just was going over that. And so a woman who stayed with my Airbnb a few months ago is coming back up to Seattle for some oncology appointments. And she asked if she could stay there. And I said, well, it's booked. I don't have room for you. And then it's the exact week that I'm going to be gone. I said, well, why don't you just stay upstairs in my place? So that's motivating me to clean up my place. So I've been, that's not the only major project I'm doing, but I've been really working a lot at that. So there's a heat wave in Seattle. I know 84 does not seem like a heat wave to most people, but in Seattle it is. So, because we don't have air conditioning in our homes. So anyway, so with that and a lot of work and dogs barking at night, waking me up, I'm tired.
Is that your motion? Or?
Yes, I'm tired.
All right.
But I still feel motivated, and I feel light and more freer and freer with purging, getting rid of stuff. I have a truck coming by to pick up a bunch of stuff. Tuesday, I had someone take a run to the dump yesterday. So I'm enjoying getting rid of stuff and being a little freer.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, I heard Portland come up a couple times. There's some of the work we've been doing with the empathy tent has been when these right-wing groups have come to Berkeley, and then they have demonstrations. There's counter demonstrations with Antifa. And one of the groups I saw, they've been having multiple rallies in Portland. So that's, I had thought of going up there to take the empathy tent to do something there. So anyway, that was just something I wanted to mention. We've been trying to create dialogues between the different sides and have been, had some success with some of the leadership on the political right. Anyway, that's something to think about. Glad to know that you're there, and Denise in Portland. If we ever go up there, maybe connect in person. In fact, I think they have a rally there on August 4th. There's going to be another big rally with the right wing, and probably Antifa will come out. So interesting. So anyway, I'm going to stop the recording. I'll be starting and stopping the recordings to sort of do editing, sort of on the fly here, because we just